theme of subsession is structural measures against earthquake and storm and flood disasters.
Look, as Chief Resilience Officer of Christchurch City, it's an absolute honour to speak at this forum, and I want to thank Yuriko Kaike and UCLG and UNDRR for the invitation to attend and speak today. Resilience is also not all about infrastructure or all about people. Building resilient cities also requires strong and connected communities and innovative investment in urban infrastructure. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today.
I'd like to thank the Tokyo Metropolitan Government for the invitation today from the City of New Orleans. And many of the countries here have the same problem. Really, I've talked to a lot of you here since we've been here, like my colleague from Chile. You know, you got earthquakes, tsunami, Japan. Everyone deals with the same problem. So, you know, I was really excited to come to this conference and learn more about your problems that you might have.
No collapsing, no burning are the objectives along which we are proceeding with earthquake-resistant urban development, and therefore we had to make improvement in these areas. We introduced the pedestrian zone, and we introduced the vegetation areas to introduce more greenery, to prevent the spreading of fire in case of disasters, including earthquakes. The whole community has been made more resilient against these disasters. We'd like to continue with these improvement projects. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
From my side, I would like to talk about how we protect the lives of the people in Tokyo against storm surge and other disasters. The amount of houses flooded back in 1966 was 41,000. Whereas in 2017, houses flooded were 35. You can see that there has been a significant decrease in the damage. And we believe that the measures that have been taken are proving to be effective.
Ka tangi te kaka, ka tangi te titi, ka tangi hoki aho, tihe Māori ora. That is the Māori language, the New Zealand native language. This is a rig that is drilling for water in Wellington Harbour to try and find an alternative water source for our city. There is an aquifer under many cities in Wellington, water under the ground, and we are very keen to tap those aquifers wherever possible.
We would like to begin subsession 3. The theme of subsession 3 is non-structural measures against earthquake.
To discuss some of our thinking about building resilience in a place like Mexico City. And we're talking about non-structural measures, so this is what I'm going to concentrate on. Mexico City is an earthquake-prone region. The lemma, you say lemma of the city, the phrase of the city is innovation and rights of this government, and we are saying with innovative solutions we are building a city where all citizens have a right to a decent living, including resilience against natural disasters.
Chile is one of the countries that have the most natural risks: hydrometeorological, volcanic, seismic. Strengthening of monitoring and early warning system, the mayor promoting prevention activities, simulation in school, training in the school community, promoting the culture of prevention and self-care.
Japan too is a very earthquake-prone country. Last June, there was a massive earthquake in Osaka, and in September, another one in Hokkaido. And in the imperial era of Heisei, there was a major earthquake in Kumamoto in 2016, and Great East Japan earthquake in 2011. Tokyo, about 100 years ago, experienced a massive earthquake in 1923, a Great Kanto earthquake. with devastating consequences. And we are introducing and unfolding new measures, including youngsters, and that is the release and utilization of Tokyo Metropolis Disaster Readiness Application. And it's easy to use to get information on disaster prevention or preparedness. It has quiz and games and disaster preparedness tips.
Of non-substation 4. The theme of non-substation 4 is non-structural measures against storm and flood disasters.
Topic of my presentation is storm and flood. The last topic of the presentation will focus on public awareness. We always implement a campaign during flood and storm season to Bangkok people. Our campaigns is empower people, know together, think together for safe communities. We use public relations in various, including television and radio, newspaper, create a web page using an application, as well as making a public relations site at an eye-catching place.
135,000 here for the square kilometers is the total area, and also we have population of 8 million. We have the rural areas are quite large in area. It is quite large. For example, Ha Te Chau, and also in the vicinity of Hanoi, we have those rural areas. These rural areas are going to occupy a large area within the metropolitan Hanoi. So we have to be fully ready to prevent the disaster problems. We have to quickly work on better infrastructure and others.
My colleagues from other cities, that's already maybe a first non-structural measure to really invest in exchange between the cities. So my presentation will, of course, focus for a little bit about the structural measures, but also about the non-structural measures in Rotterdam. Resilience by design, and do it in an inclusive way with the citizens and done by the citizens. That's more and more important. And again, I think the fact that we are exchanging this with each other, networks like C40 and 100 resilient cities are even getting more crucial than ever before.
Now I'd like to explain the TMG's non-structure measures against disaster. And it is correlated to a GPS function. And you can, this tool indicates the flood risk map, which shows whether or not you are in a flood expected area, or what sort of the degree of a flood could be expected. And so a map which shows the risk of a flood will be installed in the disaster risk reduction application TMG prepared. So by extending such non-structure measures extensively, we are going to improve the awareness of the Tokyo residents to flood disaster.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for gathering. We'd like to begin the round table.
Invited by the Governor of Tokyo, Ms. Yuriko Koike, we are going to discuss a very important issue of disaster risk reduction. As the Governor mentioned this morning, 4 years ago in the city of Sendai, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction was adopted. And the paradigm shift enshrined in this document, adopted by all member states of the United Nations, is that we need to move from managing disasters to managing disaster risk. prevent, and build resilience.
I'd like to welcome all of you here to Tokyo to discuss and share the common agenda, how to secure each cities and prefectures and the states. Thank you for the introduction, and I'd like to talk about our experience and what we are doing in order to secure the great capital of Japan, Tokyo. And I was Minister of Defense, so even for the national security, be prepared is the key word to secure the country and people. So it is my hope that we can learn from each other and help each other make our respective cities safer.
I'm very pleased to be representing Christchurch, New Zealand, a city that's had more than its fair share of challenges. We had the Canterbury earthquake sequence of 2010, 2011, urban flooding, a major fire, and most recently a terrorist attack which resulted in 51 members of our Muslim communities killed. In addition, we are a low-lying coastal city, and that means that we need to plan and prepare for the impacts of climate change. In each and every one of these scenarios, past, present and future, there is an essential ingredient to response and recovery that often gets missed in the standardised response. But neither is it something that communities can do as well on their own. We need to see our role as facilitating and enabling community connectedness and the ability to participate in city decision making. A community network that was formed in the aftermath of the earthquakes had a motto which said, "The wisdom of the community always exceeds the knowledge of the experts." Remembering that resilience, though, cannot be a top-down exercise my motto would be that the wisdom of the community, when combined with the knowledge of the experts, always exceeds what one can offer without the other.
It doesn't really happen in Jakarta, but surrounding Jakarta is risky for earthquake and then settlement fire. But at this opportunity, I would like to focus more on the flood issues, as others has been discussed earlier. And we plan our city based on hazard risks and simulations on preparedness for disasters is being done, and hopefully that area, especially park along the rivers, can serve as also for leisure, education and entertainment beside to prevent flood. So those are our approach, and we are happy as so far so good, and hopefully in the years to come we will be able to say that flood is no longer part of our story but part of our history. Thank you.
For management and control, and we would like to respond quickly. And this is our future policies and the plans. 1. Early warning and alert initiated by the administrative authorities. At the same time, when the disaster hits, preparedness infrastructure should be enhanced, including Hanoi. The Vietnam has 4 local rules. And communities and people's awareness is enhanced against disasters, and we continue to introduce new technologies to combat the disasters.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, dear Governor Kwake, thank you very much for your welcome in Tokyo. I'm here today and I'm going to tell you some information about Paris' first resilience strategy, which was voted in September 2017. Paris won't be able to tackle alone these huge challenges, and we need new cooperations with other territories around, including the countryside, new cooperations with the private sector, with academia, with inhabitants and with NGOs. It's a shared vision. Paris relies on its residents, adapts its infrastructure, mobilizes its collective intelligence and the territory that surround it to turn the challenges to the country. The more important is just to be confident in the future.
because if there is a major flooding, all telecommunication lines will be cut off. So it's nice to have in your toilets a book to read what to do in times of crisis. It's there where we have our crisis books in the Netherlands, in the toilets. As a kind of a refugee place in your own home. So I think there's more to say about that, and I'm really confident that learning from each other and exchanging our experiences here will help us to deal with preparing for any disaster, including a good book in the toilet. Thank you.
Let me introduce that Seoul government is push forward smart, safe city Seoul. Seoul will be put our most efforts in sharing our practice and building cooperation with other cities around the world to create smart, safe city for everyone.
The governors, mayors, vice mayors, allow me to bring your attention the presentation of the activities of the Office of Emergency Situations of the city of Tashkent. To reduce the risk of industrial and natural disasters, in order to create an effective protection of the population and objects from natural disasters, it should be noted that the Office of the Emergency Situation is a special authorized local government body that manages and coordinates work of the field of emergency situations caused by natural disasters, accidents, or catastrophes in the territory of Tashkent city.
How can we increase more effective cooperation between cities? Because there were many of you who...
The preparedness, of course, are different from each other, but to prepare in advance is so important.
I'd like to close by reminding us of the 4 priorities of the Sendai Framework. All the brilliant interventions touch on 1 or 2 of the priorities. So the first priority is to understand the risk we are facing. And the second one is to strengthen governance. And the third one is to invest in resilience. And the fourth one is to build back better. And I think that is what we are all talking about. And finally, I must say that disaster risk reduction needs political leadership, because this is about prevention. If you prevent well, people will never know what has been done. So you need a very strong political leader with a vision to do this. So with that, I would like to close this session by thanking once again all our brilliant presentators and congratulate the Governor of Tokyo for convening this wonderful session.
Audio Jungle.